Well, welcome back, race fans, to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League. Today, we're at COTA, Circuit of the America, as we are getting ready to close down this season. I'm your host, James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad broadcasting. Breathe the action, Tinny Pete, 60 frames a second, as drivers are starting to get gridded up here. Let's run through the starting grid. On pole, the defending champ, Jaden Calloway. Ray Aguilar starting second. Shazi Zuhair starting third. AJ Brenner starting fourth. Kyle Deckard starts fifth. Nick Peterson starting sixth. Leo Delmas starting seventh. Antonio Bianchi starting eighth. Jacob Bramley starts ninth. Julia Cervone starting 10th. Ryan Tebow starts 11th. Gareth McAllister, the world famous Aussie, starting 12th. We've got Jace Meyer starting 13th. Willie Morris starting 14th. Arturo Mayorga starting 15th. David Iezzi starting 16th. Peter Renger starts 17th. Xavier Zinave, the Flying Frenchman, starts 18th. Eric Guillory starting 19th. And Zachary Bowman will round out the 20-car grid here today. Also want to give a quick shout out as well to our friend Jacob Bramley having a recent birthday. So big thumbs up. Happy birthday to you, buddy. As we're going to wait for the lights to come on, go off, and then we will get this thing started here at COTA. Looks like the field is set, and it's going to be a long charge up the hill into the left-hander. Drivers scattering everywhere. I saw somebody all out of shape. Was that Bramley? Almost losing it. And speaking of losing it, a huge pile up. Looks like Guillory, Tebow, Morris, Meyer, all involved in that one. Guillory, Meyer take a tow back to pit road, so they'll be done and out of this sprint. And look at the air time that Guillory just got there in the Jack Daniels back number 95 machine. Unfortunately, he's going to be on the outside looking in for the remainder of this sprint. As we try and get live timing working up here in the booth. Still shows Calloway up front, Aguilar in second. Having a bit of a hiccup here with live timing. So let's see, can Aguilar close the gap behind Calloway? There's Aguilar sitting second in that number 72 machine, doing everything he can to close the gap. Leo Delmas, another driver, reported with an incident. Oh, Aguilar just had it off track there. And it also looks like AJ Brenner, Shazi Zuhair battling for third. So Aguilar sitting back about 1 second behind Calloway at this point. Curious to see. It looks like Gareth McAllister involved in an incident, but let's see what happened to that incident with Leo Delmas, the number 21 machine. where that problem was going to arise. Looks like he's going to lose it all on his own there. Spinning across a hot track. Thankfully, nobody else was involved in that one because that could have been horrific if he blitzed right across a hot track. As we're working on getting the live timing back up so we can see in the left side what the running order is for these drivers. Galloway still out front, Aguilar in second. And there we go, live timing is currently fixed again, 3 laps into the sprint. Go a little bit further back, AJ Brenner has Shazi Zuhair pressuring him for that final podium spot. Also looks like Nick Peterson, Kyle Deckard having a battle for 5th out on the circuit. Now this is only the opening sprint race, and we've whittled away 5 of our drivers so far, so only 15 remain out on track. I'm curious to see how the feature event's going to go here tonight, where we're going to have twice the laps. Historically, sprints are always a little bit tougher for our drivers, as Callaway clicks off the fastest lap of the race, about 0.09 of a second faster than Aguilar. But already the field really spreading out here. Now this is where Callaway is fastest. The defending champ in that number 1 machine has gotten away from the rest of the field, has clean track ahead of him. And looks like Kyle Deckard's going to pull up alongside Peterson, the battle for 5th. Right now, a hard charger out on track. Out of pure determination and attrition is going to be Zachary Bowman, that 96 machine. He is up 9 spots so far in this sprint. Peterson, number 24 machine, started off 6th, still holding on to that qualifying position. But the sprint, very important. It's going to set your starting position for the feature event as well. Galloway 1.5 seconds up over Aguilar. Aguilar's kind of out there in no man's land, the number 72 machine. Really, I'd say most of the field's kind of out here in no man's land, except for Zachary Bowman, who is tracking down the world-famous Aussie Gareth McAllister. That is going to be the battle for 10th, coming up a half second separating those two drivers. Other than that, everybody else out on track pretty well spread out here. COTA, Circuit of the America, a massive track, very fast, and these Super Formula machines, last time by, it was actually Shazi Zuhair had the fastest trap speed, hit 189 miles an hour here in Texas. Oh, here's a battle going on. Willie Morris. Oh, something happened to Julia Cervone. She's off track in the final corner. That's going to give Morris the 8th place position. Here comes Bowman and McAllister. So let's see, does Bowman make the move into turn 1? Not going to be able to. Let's see what happened to Cervone in this incident. Just loses the back end, pirouettes around. Thankfully keeps it off the safety wall there. So Bowman and McAllister still the two closest drivers out on track. They're going to try and work together here and track down Cervone's number 18 machine. But Bowman now up 10 positions, having a fantastic race in that 96 machine. Maybe with his teammate McAllister in tow, they'll be able to work together, pull themselves forward a little bit. You can also see Leo Delmas at the tail end there in the number 21 machine, trying to get back in the draft of these two green and black cars right ahead of them. Looks like Shazi Zuhair catching back up to the tail end of Peterson as they come out of the start-finish line stretch. Galloway again, the fastest lap of the race. Just hot lapping and putting on a clinic up here at the front. Oh, a huge lock up there from Zuhair. An uncharacteristic bobble from the number 10 machine. He's going to lose tons of ground here, and that may allow Antonio Bianchi, the number 17 machine, to close the gap a little bit. Bianchi running 7th. He's up one spot from where he originally qualified. Looks like Zuhair able to fend off Bianchi for a little bit here. See if we can grab an onboard with that Italian stallion, Antonio Bianchi. My goodness, look at the closing speed there from Bianchi. Hard on the brakes as they are absolutely rocking around Circuit of the America. One of the faster, more flowing circuits we're going to go to this year as Shazi Zuhair, another lockup for that number 10 machine. That's going to give a little bit more motivation to Bianchi here, knowing that Zuhair ahead of him is making those little mistakes. Bianchi with a little bit of a tail wiggle there from the number 17 machine. The advantage will go back to Zuhair in the form of about 1 second. Saw another off-track reported for Gareth McAllister. That is allowing Leo Delmas, who had a rough start in the number 21 machine, a chance to get a little bit further back up that leaderboard, but only 3 laps left to go here at COTA. There's Delmas, the number 21 machine. Delmas qualified 7th here this evening, currently running 12th out on the circuit. As it looks like McAllister has caught back up to his teammate, Bowman. Bowman recharging on the push to pass. McAllister a half second back. Now these two are about let's call it 2 seconds back from Cervone. So she has got some momentum built back up for the number 18 machine. And Cervone trying to track down Willie Morris in the 46. Oh, but there's problems out on track. McAllister and Delmas smashed into each other. How did this one happen? Did McAllister lose it and Delmas had nowhere to go? McAllister had a healthy gap. That is exactly what happened. McAllister pitches it around. Delmas gives him a little bit of a nose boop there, and unfortunately I think boat driver is going to have damage. You can see McAllister is missing the front wing. Delmas is going to pull over, and I think he's going to take a tow here. No, he's just fighting the car that badly. Oh, Delmas trying to get to pit road. McAllister comes down pit road. We might be lucky to have a dozen drivers finish the sprint race here tonight. Looks like Bianchi, that car was sure dancing around a lot for the number 17 machine. I wonder if he's got some sort of mechanical issue going on. Bianchi running in no man's land. He's 2.2 seconds back from Zuhair, who runs in 6th. 8.2 seconds up over Willie Morris, sitting in the 8th place position. White flag will be out next time by for Mr. Jaden Calloway. He has led every lap in the number 1 machine, has the fastest lap, and is just absolutely cruising here tonight. Now coming into tonight, Aguilar was still your points leader, 103 points up over Jaden Calloway. So if Calloway wants a chance of redemption to keep that number 1 plate, he's got to have a perfect night tonight and possibly even next week as well. And he's really needing to hope that Aguilar has some misfortune. Speaking of misfortune, Willie Morris has problems. And that number 46 machine, violently loses the back end. Not an incredibly hard crash. And then looked like a little bit of a frustrating moment for Morris. White flag is out here at the League Zero sprint race. Calloway, a 142.55, holds the fastest lap of the race. Callaway in the final quarter of a lap here at the League Zero Super Formula Series. He's on the push to pass. Let's see, does he improve on a 142.55? Coda known to be a little bit restrictive with the off-track penalties. And I'm watching live timing. Callaway's pulling even more ground over Aguilar, so he is absolutely ripping here in the number one machine as he makes his way through the final corner. He's going to pick up the win in the sprint. What's the lap time going to be? Does it best a 142.55? He does, a 141.98. The first driver here tonight into the 141s. And he is going to burn it down, a well-deserved victory burnout. And a little bit of shenanigans from some of our favorite drivers. We're going to try to get these guys up here into the interview booth. We've got Callaway. So we're going to wait on the last two drivers to join us up here for the top three celebratory shenanigans. And we're going to start things off with Mr. AJ Brenner. Join us in third. AJ, welcome back. Another podium. And I believe what I heard is quoted your favorite track in the whole wide world.
It absolutely is. The most beautiful track in the world and most beautiful state.
Now, you've gotten to ride there before on bikes. Was that what it was?
Yeah, I've done about 200 or so laps at Coda on the bikes.
Now, does that compare to iRacing at all? I mean, I'm a bike guy as well. I was at Road Atlanta last week, but it seems like sometimes it kind of translates to driving a car in sim, and sometimes it doesn't translate at all to what you're feeling.
I think the biggest thing, it just makes it where you don't have to think about what turn's coming up next. Everything is just kind of memorized and natural, so it makes you focus more on the line and your braking than thinking about what's coming next. So that's probably the best help that comes from that.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well. Now, there wasn't really any rabbits to chase. It seemed like the whole field was pretty stretched out for that one. So did that allow you to focus on certain sectors that you were looking to improve on, or were you just hot lapping all the way around there at the sprint?
I was just hot lapping, having a good time. I knew I wasn't catching up to Ray and Jaden, and I had a pretty good gap behind me, so I was just having a good time.
Well, AJ, good to have you back up here in the top three, accompanying your teammate. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
I'm gonna give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing and Felipe Sarkis.
Oh, we love Felipe. AJ,
He was
always
he was in the background during our race today, so he's sitting there supporting.
he's a legend. AJ, always a pleasure, bud. Hope to have you following the feature.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in third. Up next, Mr. Ray Aguilar, the number 72 machine. Ray, it seemed like towards the end, everybody was real stretched out, and you had a lot of clean track to focus on hitting your marks there.
Yeah, focusing on missing some apexes and nailing some curbs and getting some slowdowns. And yeah, I had a lot of mistakes that race, but I think we're at the end of the season. I think the championship's kind of locked out now, and so I'm just trying to bring it home, not get any penalties, not make anybody mad, that kind of thing, having fun.
Well, it seemed like it was a lot of fun. Now, talk about the championship being locked up. You're a numbers guy, so is there any possibility of you throwing away this championship with 1.5 races left to go?
You never know with these cryptic drop week scenarios we have, but I think going into it, we kind of figured out that it was I don't know. I'd have to just completely DNF all the last races. I think I had it locked up going into this weekend or into this race, but I don't know. I guess at the end of the night we'll know for sure once these points come in.
Now, Ray, how much pressure does that take off of you leading into the feature event tonight, knowing that you're fairly confident this thing's already in the bag?
It pressure wise, it still didn't make my foot work on the start. I'm still a little jittery, so I guess it didn't relieve too much of that. I think the thing it helps the most with though is just putting it all in perspective in terms of not hitting people, not pushing too hard. I probably could have run behind Jaden for a while. He's definitely quicker tonight. Could have run behind him in the toe for a while and pushed and probably spun like I did last week. So I'm just trying to be more sane this weekend.
Well, very, very championship minded. Ray, before I let you go, get ready for this feature. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make second place possible for you?
The snow cone gal here at Coda, she gave me a free bubblegum flavored snow cone earlier, so that
Ooh.
kind of rocked my world. My family and wife that keeps me doing this, and TGS for putting on a good show. Love all you guys.
Couldn't do it without you, Ray. Always a pleasure and best of luck in the feature.
Yep. See you, James.
That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home. And second up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Jaden Calloway. Welcome back to the top spot. It seems like you and I talked a couple weeks ago, the momentum finally turned, and it seems like it hasn't slowed down for you.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a few really good races now. This one is one of those, and yeah, I'm feeling really confident tonight, and the pace is good, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we noticed the fastest lap of the race. You had a little bit of push to pass left, used it all up there in the end. So the hat trick, qualified on pole, led every lap, won the race, fastest lap of the race. I mean, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Yeah, I knew if I could qualify on pole, it'd be really, really hard for anyone behind to keep up because the dirty air is so bad here. So thankfully, everything worked out according to plan, and I was able to bring it home.
Now, Jade, is that going to be the plan for the feature event? Just hammer down immediately, try and break away, and then soak up the clean air?
Yeah, basically. Just need to make sure I don't overheat the tires because this is one of those tracks where it's really, really easy to mess up your tires if you push too much. But we have a pit stop anyway, so it should be fine. But yeah, just need to have a clean race with no mistakes.
Now, with that tire wear, Jaden, is that going to change the pit strategy at all today, or is it going to be depending on what the tires are doing?
No, I think it should be fine. This race was half of what we're going to be doing in the feature, and the tires felt okay. So as long as you don't get a lot of wheel spins or lock up a lot, you'll be fine. So we'll see.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you up here. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in the feature event. And before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
I'm going to shout out my team, Squid Gang Racing. My teammates Fabian, AJ, and Felipe is back. So shout out to him too.
I was telling AJ, we love Felipe. So always good having him around. Jaden, always a pleasure, and best of luck in the feature, bud.
Thank you.
That was Jaden Calloway bringing it home in the top spot. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back here at League Zero. All right, race fans, we are back and ready for action. It is time for the second to last feature event of the season. As a reminder, the grid is set by a driver's finishing position in the sprint. I'm also curious to see how many drivers actually get out on the grid here. Here we go. Looks like 16 drivers are going to make the start here. Let's see, is turn one going to be as eventful as the sprint? We saw a little bit of wrecking ball activity in the sprint. We see a couple drivers off track. Uh-oh, that's Shazi Zuhair pointing the wrong way. Let's see what happened to our old friend Shazi. Looked like he just pushed wide on his lonesome. Oh, he got a little bit of help trying to rejoin the surface. So nothing too crazy inside the top five. Everything's going pretty well. Kyle Decker, Nick Peterson, the two closest drivers here. Peterson's going to look to the inside line of Deckard. Oh, hard on the brakes. Peterson way too hard on the brakes. Is going to get bumped off the track. Losing spots to Bowman and Bianchi. That is allowing Julius Cervone, Leo Delmas a chance of a bit of a recovery. Gaten Calloway is your race leader. Aguilar's about 7/10 off the back of the number one machine. And things are mighty busy here from about 6th place back. There's Zachary Bowman trying to get around Peterson, but Julius Cervone, Leo Delmas keeping the pressure up. So Calloway up front on 145. He was the only driver in the sprint that got down to a 141. I'm going to be interested to see if he gets another breakaway from Aguilar sitting in second. If that is going to be the same story. Peterson making a move around Bianchi. I think Bianchi had a little bit of a slowdown there. Now it is a 22-lap feature event. And there is one mandatory tire stop. So we could see a little bit of pit strategy at play. I'm hoping somebody such as Aguilar, such as Brenner, can keep a little bit of pressure on Calloway to avoid seeing that number one machine with a massive breakaway. We had another crash reported. Eric Guillory. Looks like it might be a solo incident for that number 95 machine. Eric was involved in the turn one, lap one incident in the sprint, so doesn't have as much laps under his belt as some of the other drivers. Thankfully, it was a small solo incident for him. Calloway at 143, so he's rapidly gaining some ground here. It wasn't until the very tail end of actually it was the very last lap of the sprint race, we saw Calloway click off the shattering 141.98 second lap time. Now Leo Delmas is going to come down pit road early, number 21 machine, taking those mandatory tires. Oh, I saw a bit of a shimmy there from Aguilar's 72 machine. That's going to give about a quarter of a second advantage to Callaway and also to AJ Brenner, who's sitting in third. Brenner can see a second place in sight here. Wants to catch up to the number 72 machine, but if we go back to Antonio Bianchi, he's having quite the battle with Chase Meyer. There's also Arturo Mayorga in the mix here. There's still some side-by-side action to be found. And somebody just absolutely blew it. What happened to Mayorga? Mayorga absolutely slammed into McAllister. My goodness. That might be one of the hardest hits. Was that a mechanical? I mean, look at this. Mayorga just lawn darted into the world famous Australian. Those Jack Daniels backed cars tonight have had quite the misfortune. Watch this. Everybody's starting to slow down in front of Mayorga. I don't know if he was just asleep at the wheel. Didn't even touch the brakes. And just absolutely cleaned out McAllister. Poor McAllister had no idea what was happening there. Let's see if I can get a replay from McAllister's point of view, I wonder. So going, no worries. Going to hit his marks, turning in, no problem. And there we go. I mean, McAllister, no time to react. Still a three-car battle for 8th. The number 29 to 17, the number 10 linked up with about a half second between all three drivers. And this is interesting as well. Looks like Aguilar is slowly bringing it in a little bit closer to Callaway. About a second separating the top two drivers. Looked like a little bit of a mistake there from Bianchi. Going to give Zuhair a big run up the hill into turn 1. And Zuhair hold on to that 9th place position. Bianchi trying to fire back. He's holding on to the 10th place spot. Now, thankfully for Bianchi, the next closest driver behind that number 17 machine is Leo Delmas. Delmas is about 17 seconds back from this three-car battle for 8th. Well, a little bit of a lunge there from Zuhair, but Bianchi's going to hold on to the spot. So Shazi Zuhair is going to take this opportunity to come down pit road. And yet another crash reported. This time it's going to be Jace Meyer. Looks like it's going to be a turn 1 incident for Meyer. It's going to be quite the sparse field here by the time this is all said and done. Meyer, thankfully, nobody else around him there to get involved. Peterson and Deckard starting to have a battle here for 4th. Eric Guillory unfortunately takes a tow back down pit road. That's going to whittle it down to only 12 drivers still out here for this main event. Let's see what happened to Guillory that forced the tow back to pit road. An odd place for the rear end to snap loose. It looked like Peterson was closing the gap to Decker, but a little bit of a bobble there is going to give a 1 second advantage back to Decker's 53 machine. Now, I haven't seen this in quite a while. 7 laps in, the top 5 are in the exact same starting position that they finished the sprint in. So if Callaway finished 1st or Peterson finished 5th in the sprint, that is currently where they're running out on track right now. Callaway clicks off a 142.59. So let's check in on Callaway, see what that number 1 machine is doing up front. He's 1 second up over Aguilar. You heard Callaway in the sprint say that he really enjoys the clean air. Much easier to go fast here at Circuit of the Americas. And this is historically where Callaway has been his happiest. He's got a healthy gap, about 1 second. He's got clean air. I'm curious to see as well, when is Callaway going to come down pit road? Is it going to be right at the halfway mark or right around the halfway mark? Or is he going to wait till late in the race before he opts to come in, throws on those fresh tires? Another battle shaping up. Julius Cervone catching up to the tail end of Mr. Zachary Bowman, the 96 machine. Bowman had a fantastic run in the sprint. I believe he was up 10 positions from where he originally qualified at. We've already whittled it down. Only 12 drivers out on track at this point. Julia Cervone, she's going to come down pit road. Bowman, the 96, stays out. But you've got drivers such as Willie Morris, Ryan Tebow, Xavier Zanave, Peter Renger, who opted not to race the feature. But the field quite spread out here. Closest drivers we have out on track are going to be Deckard and Peterson, 4th and 5th. On camera is Deckard, that 53 machine. Oh, and another incident reported. This time it's going to be Bowman and the 96 machine. We were just talking about how well Bowman ran in the sprint. And it looks like it's going to be a solo incident. While this replay's up, AJ Brenner sitting in 3rd is going to be the first top 5 driver down pit road. Bowman, just a little mistake. Could very well cost him the 6th place spot. Cervone was running right there with Bowman before she came down pit road. So Deckard, after AJ Brenner came down pit road, is going to shuffle up into 3rd. Peterson still in hot pursuit. We got a couple laps left to go before the cross green and white flags are out, signaling the halfway mark of today's main event. And I almost missed it. Last time by, Aguilar had the fastest lap of the race, a 142.37. If you remember during the sprint, Callaway got down into the high 141s. So we are starting to see the pace wick up. Aguilar's going to come down pit road. An undercut is going to be happening here against Callaway. That's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out, where Aguilar will be out on track after Callaway has his pit stop. Oh, another moment for Bowman. I think he just threw it away on the way into pit road. If he didn't, he just turned a crash into a pit stop, I think. Oh, Bowman too hot into pit road was the story. That's going to cost him dearly as far as time. Your top 3 drivers, Callaway, Deckard, Peterson, have yet to pit. And Bowman, having one of those races he would just as soon forget. He's going to roll out of pit road, cold tires, and off camber, sharp left-hander. A tale as old as time. Bowman loses the back end of that 96 machine. Callaway, another fastest lap of the race, a 142.333. Aguilar came in a couple laps prior. Once those tires are up to temp, I'll be curious to see what the 72 machine can get down to. We are past the halfway mark of today's main event, and you're watching the battle for second on screen. Peterson trying to get around Kyle Deckard. Both drivers up 2 spots. On board with Peterson. Still about 4/10 back from Deckard. Now, as the fuel tanks get lighter and lighter, historically, we start seeing faster lap times. Peterson trying to close that gap back up. As Deckard was able to pull about 4/10 off that number 53 machine. From that number 53 machine of Kyle Deckard over Peterson. Peterson getting it back within about a half second there. But Deckard motoring out of the corner, trying to see he's not on the push to pass, so that's just raw talent making it happen. You can see the blinking halo of Peterson. He is recharging the push to pass. We've had another incident reported. Julia Cervone. An off track that led into a crash for Cervone's number 18 machine. Just lost the back end, around she goes. Very wisely, quickly get off the race line. Now, Deckard and Peterson both down pit road together. Callaway stays out. So Aguilar should move back up into second now. Let's see who's better on pit road. It's Deckard versus Peterson, both in their stalls. Looks like Deckard's going to hold on to it here. Now, Bianchi showing in fourth, but he is yet to box. Aguilar and Brenner. Really, everybody inside the top 3. Callaway, Aguilar, Brenner back to their original starting positions. Aguilar showing just about 29.2 seconds back from Callaway. Has to be careful coming out on cold tires here, not to push the car too aggressively. Has to wait for the heat to build up underneath that 72 machine, and then he can put his head down and get back to work. Callaway down pit road. Where is this going to put Aguilar and Brenner second and third? Callaway in and out of his pit stall, 7.08 seconds. 3/10 faster than Aguilar was on pit road. Let's see, where is Callaway going to come into frame at? Oh, he's going to have a healthy advantage, it looks like. Now, Aguilar knows Callaway's out on cold tires right now. If that number 72 machine is feeling good, now is the time to push while Callaway's still fighting with the cold tires underneath them. Aguilar's gained about a second on Callaway so far, whittled it down to 5.5, dropping quickly to about 5 seconds. And we've had more incidents reported. David Iezzi, Jace Meyer. Looks like Iezzi's going to lose the back end. You can see a little bit of a wiggle there already. But not as spectacular as the other crashes we've seen tonight, but unfortunately, 2 drivers are going to have a little bit of damage from that one. Meyer's going to seize the opportunity to come down pit road. We pan back to Jaden Callaway, your race leader. His outlap just about finished. Antonio Bianchi down pit road for his one scheduled stop of the night. Now, Aguilar, to his credit, has been whittling away at the gap that Callaway has. Callaway, his outlap was a 2-minute and 6-second lap time. I'm going to be curious to see if either Callaway or Aguilar can get back down to the 141s that we saw in the sprint. Callaway rocking and rolling, starting to pick back up pace, got down to a 143. The field very spread out at this point. Two closest drivers, Deckard and Peterson. Separated by about 3/4 of a second, the battle for fourth. And then you have a 16-second gap back to 6th place. So we have really whittled down the drivers here. 12 drivers remain out on track. We had 16 start this feature. 4 were a DNS. And it looks like Deckard is going to hold on to fourth here a little while longer. Pulls another second back to his favor. Now let's go on board Jaden Callaway. He's got a little bit of traffic up ahead. That may be Iezzi. Yes, it was number 29 machine. Saw the blue flags, quickly hopped out of the way of your race leader. And Callaway's putting on a clinic here at the Circuit of the America. A 142.272 for Callaway is immediately answered by a 142.18 by Aguilar. So both top two drivers with 5 laps left to go starting to wick up the pace here. Those cars are getting a little bit lighter with the fuel decreasing, and they are putting the hammer down. But let's see as Callaway comes out of the final corner. Does he improve on a 142.27? I know Callaway well enough to know that Oh, this is good. Aguilar having the fastest lap time. Probably irks him to no end. And Callaway, a 142.179. I can't see, so the live timing software, well, let's try this. Well, we've ran out of decimals, ladies and gentlemen. Callaway and Aguilar both show a 142.179. Within a thousandth of a second of each other for fastest lap. So now it's going to be a battle. I think Aguilar knows that he's not going to be able to catch up to Callaway here in the closing laps of today's feature event. But I think it's going to be a battle of who can click off the fastest lap time for bragging rights. Even when they're not on track, they're finding a way to compete out here. Callaway, a 142.11. Answers with the fastest lap once more. Will we see another 141 by the time this is all said and done with? And while the fast lap battle is going on between first and second, Deckard and Peterson still within a half second of each other. As we just saw somebody go off track. We've got about 3 laps left to go here at Circuit of the Americas, the League Zero Super Formula Series. And waiting to see if Peterson's going to be able to strike against Deckard. This has been a battle that has been slowly building up over the course of this feature event. It seems like Deckard able to gain a little bit ground here and there, puts about a second back up over Nick Peterson. Callaway, 142.08. Gaining some more speed here. Aguilar, 142.373. So Callaway is cruising here. Bowman, though, had another incident. He had just gained a spot against Julia Cervone after her off-track excursion. Is it going to be turn 1 misfortune? Yes, it is for Bowman, losing the back end. Tries to get it spun around in time. But that's also overheating the tires of the 96 machine as well, leading to additional problems down the road. If those tires get hot and greasy, it's very tough to hold on to it afterwards. Peterson hammering down that number 24 machine. He's had Deckard so close this entire race. It's never really been more than a second and a half between these two. And I almost wonder, is this the effects of dirty air that we were hearing from Jaden Callaway following the sprint? Saying if you're tucked in behind another driver's windstream, it kind of unsettles the car a little bit, makes it tougher to hold on to. Peterson trying to close the gap, still behind Deckard. Peterson still trying to hammer down. The white flag is going to be out next time by for Jaden Calloway. White flag is out for Jaden Calloway. He got down to a 141.6. He wants the win. He wants the fastest lap of the race. Aguilar still sits in second. AJ Brenner sitting in third. Right now, the top 5 would be, if they finished where they're at, would be an identical finish to the sprint race results. Calloway on his final lap. The push to pass is going. Is this where we're going to see a 141 out of the race leader? Calloway making his way through the final couple of corners here at Circuit de America. He's on rails, and that number 1 machine takes the final left-hander. What's the lap time going to be? I heard a little bit of tire squeal. Is it going to be better than a 141.6? A 141.25. So Calloway not only in the 141s, well into the 141s here. Ray Aguilar is going to finish second. Blowing up his engine. And AJ Brenner will round out the top 3. We're going to wait for these drivers to get up here to victory lane, as they have a little bit of celebratory shenanigans on the front straight here at COTA. We've got Aguilar. We're waiting on Brenner and Calloway to join us. We've got Calloway, so now we're just waiting on AJ Brenner. And we'll get the party started with the repeat. Back-to-back thirds. AJ Brenner, welcome back to the booth. And it doesn't seem like much change in the top 5.
No, not really. Just sat there for another 22 laps and just enjoyed the beautiful COTA track. And yeah, didn't have much pace left in me there.
Now, it seemed like this was definitely a race where the field was more spread out than we've seen in the past. What do you think contributed to that? Was it the size of COTA or something different?
I think that's a skill issue.
Skill issue. Now, speaking of skill issues, did you have enough fuel here tonight in Texas to make it till the end?
I did this time. Antonio got the fuel right, so we're all good here. We're all good. We made it to the end.
So credit where credit is due. AJ, a good job. You and your teammate, back-to-back performances here. knocking out both ends of the podium. A clean race car when we saw the field rapidly dwindle here under the Texas sun. So before I let you go and unwind from this one, a long 22 laps, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make it happen?
I'll just give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing in the beautiful country of Texas.
Awesome. AJ, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you back up here.
Appreciate it, James.
That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in third. Up next, Mr. Ray Aguilar. What noise was that as we just pulled you into the booth?
Oh, sorry, I was saying I agree to AJ. As he
Well,
jumped in.
we caught part of it. It was a very odd noise we heard, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you agreed with AJ. Tell us about your race. It seemed like once you and Callaway were stretched out and both enjoying clean air, it was a battle of who could set that fastest lap time.
Yeah, it's hard to follow on this track specifically with all the really high speed corners. I don't know, it's kind of boring. I love the track. A lot of people hate it. I absolutely love this track. Had a great time. It's hard to follow and it's hard to be consistent. Like with such a high speed track, you tap a curb wrong, lose 4 or 5 tenths in one lap, and then it adds up over time. But I'm happy with the outcome tonight. Happy with the second place. I think I'm happy with the championship, and yeah, it's gonna be fun going into what are we next week? Spa. It's gonna be fun going into Belgium next week.
What are the odds of most of the field finishing at Spa next week, Ray?
Well, so Spa historically is not good for Formula cars, but I think we do okay. I think as long as we can get everybody through turn one, we were just talking about that. We were just talking about what cars we're gonna run, what kind of how we can help make this cleaner, and so I don't know. We'll do something. We'll get you a good race next week, James.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Ray. Good to have you back up here twice in one night. A solid points position. We're pretty sure you locked up the championship, so I know you're ecstatic. And before I let you go and kind of unwind from 22 grueling laps here in Texas, who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make the podium finish just possible for you tonight?
Um, I want to thank my family as always. They always help me get into this stuff. I want to thank America for building such an awesome track and, being the top tier country to do stuff like land on the moon. I'm just super excited to breathe in the sweet air of freedom here in Austin, Texas, and TGS for putting on a good show as always.
Well, couldn't do it without you guys. Ray, always a pleasure, and congratulations on the back-to-back seconds here tonight.
See you, buddy.
That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. But up next, the man of the night, Jaden Callaway, back-to-back, another fastest lap, improving on the fastest lap we saw from the sprint. You were ripping out there, the number one machine.
Yeah, it felt great. I was trying to get a 140, but I made a couple mistakes in sector one, but I still did a pretty good lap, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, so in a perfect world, Jaden, with the track conditions, the car setup, everything coming together, if you could squeeze out any more pace out of that thing, what could you get down to?
I think probably a 140.8 or 9 would be the maximum. Without those mistakes in sector one, I probably would have been close, but I think that's the most I could do.
Well, it seemed like you had ample opportunity. I mean, wire to wire, finishing a 10.5-second gap at the end of this thing. I mean, I know the clean air plays a part, but I mean, you were just at a next level out here.
Yeah, like I said before, I had the confidence. I really, really like this track, and I guess once I get into a rhythm, I can find a lot of pace, so I'm happy with it.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well. Now, Jade, I'm not sure how the championship is going to go with the current point spread. What's your feelings? What's your expectations into the season finale at Spa next week?
Of course, I'd like to win. I'm gonna keep pushing as hard as I can, but it's gonna take a really bad race for Ray for me to catch up to him in points. So, yeah, I'm just gonna do my best, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Jaden, it's always a pleasure, buddy. Super cool having you up here. Back-to-back wins here in Texas, and you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen?
Yeah, as always, I'm gonna shout out my friends and family who will be watching this when it's uploaded. I'm gonna shout out my team, Squid Gang Racing, and my teammates Fabian, AJ, and Felipe.
Awesome. Jaden, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you, and hope to have you back up here next week at Spa.
Thanks. Hope to be back.
That was Jaden Callaway bringing it home. Back-to-back wins here at Circuit de America. He was accompanied by Ray Aguilar, also back-to-back seconds, and AJ Brenner, back-to-back thirds. On behalf of League Zero Racing Series, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, supporting the drivers, supporting the league, and we'll see you at the season finale next week at Spa. Have a great night, everybody.